I decided to make my hometown Szeged in City Skylines 2. Get ready for this epic journey with me of precise crafting and building. Throughout this series we will attempt to construct a one-to-one replica of the city inside the game. And I'll be yapping. A lot. This is Szeged in City Skylines 2. So today we're making my hometown, which is a little Hungarian town called Szeged. It's located in southern Hungary, and it's a nice little town, I think. It's very non-Hungarian compared to the other cities. It's definitely its own thing. It's located in the southern Great Plains area, and so I just loaded this map. I downloaded it off the workshop or the Paradox mods thingy, and yeah, I'm just gonna go into this with unlimited resources. I don't really want to, simulate the economy or whatever. Right now I really just want to make it nice. So the river, for reference, here's the map. Here's my little beautiful city. You can see this is more or less the structure. So it's got this very circular structure. It actually didn't really look like this for a while. It was completely different, but in 1879 there was a huge flood that basically destroyed the entirety of the old version of the city, and so it was devastating. It destroyed, I think, at least 20,000 homes, but 70,000 is the number that is in my mind right now, but that seems a little too high. But then again, it's not unimaginable. Anyway, what happened after that is the city kind of asked for help, and help it received from major European cities such as London, Paris, Brussels, Vienna. So even though at the time, Europe wasn't exactly the most peaceful, so to speak, they still helped the city, and that's something that the city really is known for today too. And I'll explain why a little bit later. But yeah, it was then that it got this circular structure, and it's called a concentric structure. So what it does is it has these circular boulevards, and then we have radial avenues, as you can see. And so this is really it's a very efficient distribution of traffic, and it really allows the city to be a lot more livable than some of its counterparts in the country. We also have a really nice public transit system for the size, so it's just really fortunate that we got this. And as you can see, it's right as the city is located at this churning of this river, this huge churn. It's almost like a 90-degree turn, and the river actually flows this way. But anyway, point is, yeah, this is why I found this map, and it was mostly resembling what I saw, but it does need a little bit of work, so I'll just start working on that. So the problem is the river right now is too wide. It really is too wide, and you can actually measure You can actually measure how wide it is. If I just open up Google Maps again, and I just place a dot here and a dot here, and you can really see it's only like 160, and it does get a little bit wider, but yeah, it's not too wide. So I'm just gonna place, I think, a little road. It's like 168, right? That is 168. Yeah, way too wide. 168, okay. We'll make it like this, 168, okay. Great city. I really didn't know how great it was for a good while, but then, because you know, when you grow up, you don't really make much of it, right? It's just where you live. But then once you kind of become an adult, even though I wouldn't say I'm a, you know, actual adult. I'm just a uni student. And yeah, sure, I've had jobs here and there, but you know, they weren't exactly the most, you know, complex, or I wouldn't say complex. I don't want to put myself down here, but you know what I mean. It wasn't, you know, I never had to, you know, survive on my own, quote unquote, even though that's not really what adult life should be, because people have friends and family and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really know how great the city was until I left for university, and I went to a different city inside the country. It wasn't the capital, which is unfortunate, but it's a different city, and it's comparable in size, comparable in population, but I'm not a fan of it, you know? I'm not a fan of the way it is, which is really unfortunate, but it just kind of made me realize, you know, going to a different city and living there, and then coming back to my hometown, it really became apparent to me how spoiled I had been for all those years. And I almost sort of saw it, even though, you know, it was where I grew up, I sort of started seeing it as almost through the lens of a, say, tourist. And it really just was one of those moments where I was like, oh, okay, so I grew up here. Damn, I had it pretty good. So it was a really eye-opening moment for me. And it really just sent me down sort of a rabbit hole as well, because I really, you know, I really started becoming interested in what makes an urban environment, you know, good. What kind of policies, design elements, structures are required for there to be a nice urban environment, one that's, you know, enjoyable to live, and it really started making sense once I looked into it. And so I've really become almost infatuated with the city, and almost like, you know, I as a kid, I never really understood when, you know, adults were saying like, oh, you know, the lover of the city, you know, but having been, you know, away and having experienced different kinds of different ways of living that are, elicited by different urban structures, different urban environments. It really made itself clear that I was indeed, a very lucky child, in that growing up was great. It just was. It was awesome, and now every chance I get, coming home, visiting, I sort of view it through a different lens, because I have that kind of experience of being away. But anyway, city's incredibly nice, and it's really beautiful. Even though it could be better, there's even though a lot of work has been done to make it look a lot more appealing to the eye. There's still many renovations that are needed, because for those of you that don't know, we do have a pretty unfortunate history here in this country. Chances are, if you hear Hungary, you'll just think of the current government and the current situation, which isn't too great. A lot of people think it's sort of this uniform, and I'm to a certain extent rightfully so, right? I mean, to some extent it's everyone's responsibility to have the right type of governing structure, right? To some extent it is justifiable to say that, like, your entire people, your leader's behavior is the fault of your entire people. I mean, even though that's a very narrow understanding of how it works, I do understand why someone would think that, right? But anyway, what I wanted to say is even that is due to some pretty unfortunate history we've had here. In the 20th century, we had some crazy things happen from 2 world wars, which we were both heavily involved with. First one, Austro-Hungarian Empire. We were kind of one of the countries to start it. But then, the second one was, and then, losing World War I, we lost like 2/3 of our land. And some of it, in my opinion, was justified insofar as it wasn't ethnically Hungarian, but we did lose some that was justified or unjustified, which is very unfortunate. Obviously that includes natural resources as well, and we lost that. And then basically the period between the 2 world wars was really unstable. It was just a period of instability, and then World War II came, and we were pretty much dragged into it. And then we were invaded by the Soviet Union, so we were forced to be communist, or not communist. People say communist. It was more like, for a while, it was more like Bolshevism, which isn't exactly, I mean, I guess it's just probably what communism devolves into, right? But it was Bolshevism, and then we had this sort of weird type of radical socialism, which wasn't really, it wasn't radical in its, in how it was, in what it was like to live. It was more radical in terms of being very overly dependent on the state. So it was a state-run economy. no free market trade, and it was very ineffective, and the country got into, huge debt crisis because the socialist leadership was borrowing money to fund its state-run economy because there wasn't enough resources, and there wasn't enough value being produced by the state-run economy, understandably so. But at the time, people thought, this was the way to go, but anyway, huge debt crisis, and then, socialism never really fell in our country. It wasn't even a revolution that ended it. It was more so just, I don't even know what to call it. We sort of call it like system swap. Yeah, let's say system swap, because it really was a system swap. They negotiated a deal with some new voices that were anti-socialist, and the leadership just kind of negotiated the deal, and it was a very messy period. I wasn't alive back then, but there's still a lot of things that happened there that shouldn't have happened, and that we haven't really fixed. There was this thing called spontaneous privatization. Throughout socialist times, everything was state-owned, right? And what that meant is, there really wasn't, private businesses. Everything was state-run. When the system swap occurred, what happened is a lot of these, they still had officers in these, there were still, positions of authority, positions of power. And so the people that, were holding those positions, they spontaneously privatized it. And what that meant is, through very sketchy but legal means, they just were like, hey, we're gonna take this now, and this is ours. This is now our private property. And there's so many things to this day, from small to big, that are still just privately owned, that should not be privately owned, that are really public property. But because, they were spontaneously privatized, they get to be owned by funky people. So I think this will be enough for now. So now I want to sketch out the roads. So this is where I need a little help. So here's some geography for you. So we have two very important roads, the two boulevards. So we have the small boulevard and we have the grand boulevard. This is a very easy way to conceptualize it, but small boulevard and everything inside it is for pedestrians and public transit. And then cars get everything else. So cars get the grand boulevard, and so it kind of acts as, it's almost like a highway around the city. It's almost like a ring of highways around the city center, or downtown, or whatever you want to call it. But so this makes it so that inside the center, car traffic is relatively light for the most part, and so transit is effective. There's not many delays, but it's also nice as a pedestrian because, first of all, you don't get deafened by engines roaring, and you also get to just have your space that otherwise would belong to the cars. So I think I'll start with the small boulevard. 2.1 kilometers. Okay, so it's 2.1 kilometers. Eventually, if this develops into a series, I'll do the entire city and then some. So what I want to do is I want to do like the future developments, but right now I want to do what I can to make what I would conceptualize as like a one-to-one replica. Okay, so let's see. Hey, it's editor me. I'll be periodically chiming in whenever there's a time lapse, giving you life advice. You ever feel like you have a hard time waking up? It's almost like the bed is dragging you back. It's almost like you cannot get out. Well, that's why the snooze button exists. Just press the snooze button. It'll give you 5 more minutes, the precious sleep you need. With the press of a button, you can sleep for 5 more minutes. And you know what the best part is? You can press it multiple times. It's great. I love pressing the snooze button. It's changed my life radically. I always fall back asleep. It's great. I've been detailing a lot more, and so that takes patience and precision, and that's something I feel like I am personally losing, and not necessarily because of my own wrongdoing. I just feel like the world has been going in kind of an insane direction with that. Just the constant bombardment. Here comes the fun part. Now we'll need to add the avenues. And so this is going to be an interesting experiment. We have that continuing over there. We have 4 main ones that connect to the small boulevard, and then there's one that only connects to the grand one, but the rest of them kind of go through all of the boulevards. We also have a third boulevard. I forgot to mention that. We have a third one. It's called the Northern Boulevard. It's really not... It's really just for, you know, more outskirts of the city type deal like this. It's more mass, just, you know, mass apartments, these commie blocks. But it's not the worst boulevard either. I've seen worse in other cities, so it's a cool boulevard. Actually, I think I'll add this one first. It's called Boldogasszony, which just translates to Happy Lady. Happy Lady Avenue, Mother of Jesus. In Hungarian culture, for some reason, we have a lot more of a pronounced role for her. I've been told it's because we used to have, before converting to Christianity, we used to have a deity that was kind of a mother, and so when we converted, it just made sense to adopt her role to Christianity. Hey, do you have problems with your weight? Have you considered how many organs you have that you don't even need? Why not just let go of some of them? You know, you have 2 kidneys, 2 testicles, or 2 ovaries if you're a woman. You have 2 lungs. You also have 2 hemispheres of the brain. You also have 2 eyes. Too many teeth. Obviously too many teeth. Too many legs, too many arms, too many fingers. Oh, don't even get me started with the fingers. And then there's the toes. Don't you ever just want to let go of them? You could lose so much weight. Start with the kidneys. You also have a colon and the small intestine, but I don't think the colon's really necessary. You could just let go of it. Just cut it out. Let go. This is great advice. And it's approved by me, the greatest authority on health.
For legal reasons, I have to state that this is a joke. Don't actually attempt this. Don't attempt it at home. This is not real medical advice. This is just a joke. This is humor. Please do not attempt this procedure. It is not an effective way of losing weight, and it is definitely not healthy, and it is definitely not real advice I'm giving.
Hey, are you struggling to make ends meet? Well, fear not. You can just print money. Let me introduce you to the printer and Google Images. You can Google any currency you want. Just download the JPEG or the PNG and start printing. Just make sure to buy enough paper. It's great. I haven't done it, and I don't think I will, but you can.
For legal reasons, I have to state that this is a joke, this is comedy, this is humor. Do not attempt to print money because it's highly illegal. Counterfeit cash is illegal in most jurisdictions, including your country. Only use state-minted, state-approved money. And this was not real financial advice I just gave you.
Do you ever feel you could just... And then you're just like... But then it like... And then to your surprise it... And then once you're done with that, you could really just use a... And then it turns out it was all along. It's not perfect, but it'll do for now. Ooh, and that's kind of a goofy looking roundabout, but it is a weird roundabout in real life as well. If you take a look at it, it looks like this. Oh man, I love how this place looks in the spring and the summer though. It's a really cool place. But yeah, it's a little goofy and it becomes single tracked here. Fun fact, they want to make it double tracked. Obviously they want to, but there's no money. Government doesn't want to give us money for this, so there's no double track here. So it's all goofy. It's not as frequent as it could be, even though it's quite frequent for what it is. But yeah, but I think this will do. I mean, this looks pretty faithful. But I still wish I could make it just... I want to make it good. So maybe if I add like a 90-degree road here, maybe I can use that as a 90-degree supporting structure or whatever. Isn't that too much space though? I guess it is, but I guess it works. But now this doesn't work. But now, see what I'll do, because I'm a genius, is here's where I'll bring it closer. And for some reason it does not work right now. But maybe if I added a slight curve... No. It just refuses to work. I'm spending ages on this one roundabout, but it's important that it looks faithful. And I demand that it look faithful. No, no curvature. Please. Please. I'm begging you. You worked a second. You literally worked a second ago. The reason I'm doing the tram system is because it's really an integral part of the city. It's a pretty nice system, actually. It's frequent and fast and very reliable too. I'm just not sure why it's not. Why it's refusing to comply. There we go. Okay, I cheat. I'm gonna just cheat the system like this. I think that works. Just place a couple of trees there. Nothing happens. It's not faithful to real life, but who cares? Yeah, that's cool. And then this pretty much keeps on going like this. So now, I'm just really gonna use the tram systems to start building up the city, because that's what you see most, right, when you travel. I'll eventually need to get the train tracks in here as well. But I think I'll just start. I'll complete this one. Okay, here's how it works. There's 5 lines, but there's really only 2 main sort of corridors, and then we have branches. But inside the center, there's 2 main corridors that intersect. One of them is pretty much just the small boulevard from here to here, and then goes out here. And then we have 2 branches here. This is one, and this is the other one. And then we have this other corridor, which is like this. They meet here. And then it goes like this. And then out here to the train station. Line 2 starts here at the train station. And then it comes out like this onto the avenue. And then it goes through the avenue right up to inside the small boulevard. And then here, actually, here it actually goes, for a portion it goes on like a two-lane street. Oh yeah, and not only does line 2 use this, line 1 also uses this, and line 1 is a hybrid. It actually is not only is it a tram, it's also a train. It's also a train. It's sort of like a suburban service, or not suburban service, but I would say it's more like, I guess suburban works. But yeah, if you I can just zoom out here for a second. It actually goes out to this little town here, and it goes through the center there as well, and it just helps people that, you know, come here for work and or just parties, you know, whatever, to, you know, have fun. So that's cool. Also, I wanna, because it goes, we have here this thing called Heroes Gate, which is this really, I'm retarded. See, I don't know my own city that I'm so passionate about. But yeah, right here, we have Heroes Gate. And I'm not sure if I can make anything like this, but I do want to put, because it's right here, I think I do want to attempt to put like maybe a bridge. Because I think that would look pretty amazing, not gonna lie. Oh, that's not high enough. But I'll just see again. I'm detailing. I should not be detailing, but it's just so cool to start working on it. I think that looks pretty darn awesome, actually. If I can somehow put like some details on up top, I think that would look great. Like, it's so grandiose, you know what I mean? It's definitely not, you know, definitely doesn't look like this, but I think it worked. It looks cool. It looks cool. It's a similar vibe, even though it's not quite the same. But yeah, so here actually it no longer there's not a car type of street here, it's just tracks for a while. And here we have this square, which is a fun square actually. It's kind of an irregular shape, but it's a nice place. And you can see here, it's a pretty cool place. Really like it. Just it's nice urbanism, you know. It's a walkable. It's this little island. It's being served by the tram, you know. It's just a cool place. But I saw there's some curvature. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. No, curves the other way. Shit. Okay. Okay. So here I wanna somehow replicate this square just a little bit, just sketch it up, you know? Are you afraid of darkness? The evil lurking among us? Entities with malicious intent? Well, I am too, but there's nothing I can do about it, so I might as well not think about it. But now you just made me think about it, and now I'm scared. Don't be scared, it's fine, I think. I just think I just pissed my pants. Be right back. Well, I think that's looking pretty awesome. There's a food stall here, so I could either use one of these, but this is not a food stall, so I think I'll use some detailing tools instead. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than this. Oh, this is perfect. This is the nicest food stall ever, okay? This food stall saves lives. It's non-stop, and you can always count on it. Drunk, sober, it doesn't matter. It's always there for you, and it's the nicest stall you've ever been to. It really is the nicest stall. And it just, there's something about it. There's something about it I can't explain, but there's just something about it. It's like kind of a bigger establishment, but there's something about it that just makes it so nice. Just had fries there the other day. It was great. Great stuff. Great stuff. Awesome stuff. It's whoa, love that place. But there's a huge menu as well, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Maybe this is, no, I like how this looks. I think this is pretty good. Yeah. But there is also, and it's named after what's next to it. And what's next to it is not the nicest of things, but it's a public bathroom. So it's kind of called like, well, it kind of translates to just like bathroom buffet or whatever. want to find something here that... well... Oh, I mean, maybe this kind of looks like one. But yeah, it's a famous public bathroom. They actually changed it recently because it used to be a very like old rundown one. But now it has like, now it's modern and like it has, you know, it accepts card and whatever. So it's been developing a lot. Yeah, I think we'll just have to do with this for now. And this is gonna have its own little surface as well. Maybe I should just extend the other one. Because that looks better. Sorry for not talking, I'm just so lost in this whole thing right now. But it's been great, you know. I did not have the best of years, you know. It was a pretty rough year. Learned some things for sure about humanity, and you know, sometimes I just start thinking like maybe I shouldn't trust people, you know. Maybe that's not a good idea. Or not trust people, that's not the right way to say it. It's just sometimes there's some people who really don't deserve your trust, and not just your trust, but also your kind of attention. And I've really learned that this year. I really wanted to give some people a chance, you know, like, because the problem is for me, you know, I've had a really good like high school experience. There were some harder periods, and you know, it's not like the whole thing was, you know, great, but I still had, you know, a relatively like a really nice experience. But the problem was when I went to college, I didn't really do that, or didn't really have that, rather, where it's like my initial experience with university was a little inferior to what I had in high school. You know, I have really good friends, still have them to this day, and we just had tons of fun. Like, especially by the end of high school, like, COVID really brought us together in a weird way, where we were, you know, online a bunch, and so we would play a lot of video games, Counter-Strike, and look at this square, it's becoming so nice. I love this. It's awesome. I love this. It's so goofy because it's like, it's also like an in-game version of like a real-life place, you know, I know and love, but it's just kind of, I tweaked it to be like mine, and I love this. This is great. This is awesome. And we've got so much work to do, but I'm so excited for this. Like, I'm actually so excited for this. But yeah, back to what I was saying earlier, is I really wanted to give some people a chance because, you know, initially my university experience wasn't the nicest, and I sort of isolated myself too much. And I was like, you know what, like, I'm gonna, you know, I need to be more open to other people and like other experiences and stuff like that. But then I kind of had to find out the hard way that, you know, if I, you know, there's a reason that I, you know, don't really talk to certain people. There's a very good reason often. And but then, you know, you're like, oh, the problem must be with me, you know, I need to give this person a chance. And then you realize like, oh, actually I kind of was right for not, you know, talking to them. there's just some weird people, you know. Some people, they don't really care about, you know, you. They care about them feeling good. They care about them being like socially accepted, and not just socially accepted, but, you know, feeling like they're worth something, and all those things. And which is, I don't have like a big problem with that. My problem is when people kind of use you for their own entertainment or whatnot, which is something I don't really appreciate. And it kind of happened to me this year. It wasn't nice, you know. And it's one of those things where it's like, you never really know, because like when something like that happens, where it's like you're being, you know, used for someone's own entertainment, it's like, it's really easy for them to like gaslight you into like, oh no, you're the problem. But then, you know, at the end of the day, you feel like, oh, I'm not being respected here. And that's really what it comes down to, is just this lack of respect that can often be very deeply uncomfortable. Look at this. It's great. This looks awesome. I love this. Don't pay attention to the rest of it, but this is great. This is awesome. I love this. Like I genuinely, and it's so cool because it's like a place I know, but you know, it's mine. I've said this before, but it really just feels like it. And this concludes it for today. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. If you want to see more episodes, comment down below. Obviously, I'm starting out right now, so I apologize if the quality wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I promise I'll keep improving it. And hopefully this will be a fun series, and I'll see you in the next episode.